In Fallout 4, a range of different weapons are available to the sole survivor to take down any enemies that might show themselves. But let's be real here, I think he'd be pretty pissed off after seeing his wife get shot and son taken. I think he needs to let off some steam. So let's see, can you beat Fallout 4 with only your fists? We start off staring into the mirror in Prewar America, and everything is super sped up for some reason. Weird. Oh, yeah, I've got a 240Hz monitor, so I restarted the game and turned VSync on. What a great start. I make my character as close to myself as possible, realize I did a terrible job, and walked out into my house. I started monologuing to myself about random objects around the house, and then I had a stroke and started spinning in circles and opening and closing this door. I think I saw this in a Fallout 4 speedrun once. I'm not sure what it does, but I just do it now in the name of speed. A dude came by to get my personal information so he could sell it to the government, and here is where I get to set my special stats. I went with 10 in strength to help with my unarmed damage, set my perception and charisma to 1, and the rest was just to give myself a decent amount of health and action points. I named my character after myself, Ezekiel McFist. It's my full legal name. Don't look that up. All hell breaks loose, and I accidentally run the wrong way and get blown up by the nuclear explosion. And with that, I did not beat Fallout 4 with only my fists. Thank you all so much for watching. Just kidding. I go into the vault, get my suit on, and jump into this cool little doohickey. We flash forward into the future, I see my wife get shot and son taken, and then after getting hit with another flashbang, I wake up and go to get my fist on. That sounded way cooler in my head. While going through the vault, I accidentally picked up the 10mm pistol just out of habit. Because I don't have a Pip-Boy yet, I have no way of unequipping it, so I only use my fists. I tried to work around it by running past the rad roaches, but these little guys must have been using wall hacks because they could see me no matter where I went. So I settled on just bashing them with the pistol. I know it's not technically my fist, but I'm pretty sure it did the same damage, so I'm gonna let this one slide. I get the Pip-Boy, go to charge it and get a little freaked out when it opens a door, and enter the wasteland for the first time. I go and say hi to Codsworth, but he kinda weirds me out a little, so instead of listening to his jibber jabber, I go to Concord and help the Minutemen out. The raiders themselves weren't too hard to punch through, and I got through everything fairly quickly. Then it was time to get some power armor on and go to town on these guys. I was worried that the game was going to force me to use the minigun, but I was luckily able to just unequip it and use my fists on these guys. The protection that power armor gives you really helps when you have to get so up close and personal with these enemies, so I relied on it a lot during this playthrough. It was also around this time that I realized the game was way too easy, so I bumped the difficulty up to hard. It stayed this way for most of the game, but I'll mention whenever I change it. Now I've got to take down the first Deathclaw, and goddamn, this was an instant difficulty curve if I've ever seen one. Usually in this section, you can gun it down pretty quickly with the minigun, but having to just use my fists, it was a struggle to kill this thing. I ended up relying on the raiders to distract it, and I beat this car enough until it was ready to blow before luring it over and doing a fair bit of damage with the car's explosion. This took a few attempts to do, but after that I kept doing sprinting attacks to stagger it, and I eventually took it down. Some big brain moves over here. Now it's time for Diamond City, because I'm not sitting around waiting for the Minutemen to be happy with me rebuilding my own hometown. Before I go, I make sure to create an insane amount of fence posts and shelves to assert my dominance and level up a bit. When I leveled up, I put my points into the Iron Fists perk. This overall increases my unarmed damage, and in later tiers increases my chance to disarm and do limb damage. Overall, it really helped the run, but I'll mention some of the downsides a little bit later. After that, I go to Diamond City and start the mission to save Nick Valentine. A big problem in this playthrough I had to overcome was fusion cores. I pretty much solely relied on power armor in this playthrough, and fusion cores are not easy to come by. I'd scavenge them when I could, but my main source of getting them was through vendors in Diamond City. I was picking up pretty much all the weapons, armor, and ammo I could off enemies, so I had a lot to sell when I got to town because, well, I wasn't using any of it. So I was able to get by through getting fusion cores from them, but I was only really in a comfortable position with the amount I had at like the end of the playthrough. Overall, saving Nick goes pretty smoothly. I go into the vault, take down Skinny Malone and his boys, and rescue him in record time. Oh, I also beat the shit out of Darla. Serves her right. I go back to Diamond City and we start the process of searching for Kellogg's cereal for that sweet, sweet revenge. After convincing the mayor's pockets to give me the key, I search his house and realize something horrific. Kellogg has terrible taste in cigarettes. Like seriously, if you're gonna slowly kill yourself, at least have some standards about what you're doing it with. I get Dogmeat to hunt down the musty stench of his stale-ass smokes and eventually reach Fort Hagen. I don't know about you guys, but I always get lost while trying to get to Kellogg in this area. After a long time, I manage to connect my 2 neurons that are still firing and go further into the base. Time for revenge, and honestly, it goes really smoothly. I was surprised by how much of a pushover this guy was. He just couldn't handle the weight of my metallic 5-finger death punch. He tried to heal, go invisible, but nothing was enough to stop the wrath of my incredibly hard knucks. Knucks, like knuckles. Get your mind out of the gutter. I take his clothes and get some brain, and that means it's time to go to Good Neighbor. But real quick, I want to have a rant about the Fallout TV show. It was pretty good timing that it came out while I was recording this video, and god damn is it amazing! No spoilers, of course, but I was incredibly impressed with how the show turned out. One of the best video game adaptations I've ever seen put to screen. If you're a Fallout fan and have an Amazon Prime subscription, go watch it, please. You won't regret it unless you're one of those assholes on Reddit that just wants to complain about the tiny minor lore changes they made to fit with the show a little better. Anyway, I go to Good Neighbor and watch a guy get shanked right in front of me. Such a nice, warm welcome. Hancock is a cool guy. I would have done the same. Any leader who can shank a guy is a good leader in my eyes. I spend way too long in the memory den going through Kellogg's memory. I'm a sucker for half-baked backstories designed to inflict a moral dilemma in the viewer. And then it's time to go to the Institute. Well, kinda. First I gotta go to Virgil in the Glowing Sea, which takes a little bit. On the way, I find 2 Deathclaws passionately making out, and then I found another Deathclaw hiding out by this shack. Do they really have nothing better to do than bother me? Go destroy a random settlement or something, Jesus. After eventually making it to the Glowing Sea, I meet Virgil and he says I need to go and kill a Corsair. Oh god, it's Skyrim all over again. The amount of back and forth is insane. So I go to Green Tech Genetics, punch my way through waves of gunners, kill the Corsair, save the random synth girl and then kill her anyway, and go to get the Corsair chip decoded. I find it strange that no one has done this yet. I know Corsairs are meant to be big bad killing machines, but all it took was some guy who's been asleep for 200 years to come around and make him find out what happens after fucking around. I want to give a huge shout out to all of my members real quick. You guys all help this channel stay alive and I can't thank you enough for it. Huge thanks to my Insane Person tier members, Waluigi and Alias. You guys are incredible. Also, my goal is to hit 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year. It's a bold goal, but I know with your help I'll be able to reach it. So if you enjoy my content, maybe consider hitting that red button down below. It helps out the channel a bunch. Anyway, I decided to go to the railroad to get it decoded, and this is where I really fucked up the continuity of the story. I merged timelines together and became the god of the wasteland. I go and start with the railroad after wandering around for way too long trying to find the Old North Church. Do the mission with Deacon and get the chip decoded. And after fucking around for ages to find all the pieces, I build the teleporter and go to the Institute. While I'm at the Institute, I meet my old ass son and then kill him because old people are an abomination. I get my ass out of there and then meet up with the Brotherhood of Steel. I help them out a bit, go to the Prewar and start doing their missions, but then I realized that I need to shoot the minigun to progress. And I went AFK for a bit, so the vertibird went down and I just sat in the ocean for a bit before being shot down and loading back to the Prewar. But I got a good set of power armor out of the whole ordeal, so I'm not complaining. So after all that, I go with the Minutemen. For way too long, I did missions for them, helping out settlements, and I swear I helped some of these guys 2 or 3 times. And then it was time to take back the castle. God, this was hard. It eventually got done. I died to the Murlocs and Queen way too many times. But then after that, I helped them get the artillery back up and running, and it was time to defend it from the Institute synths. This is where I had to turn the difficulty down. I tried for a long time to get through these guys, but I died a lot and decided to turn down the difficulty so I could get through them and progress the story. I want to mention how annoying some of these enemies can be. One of my perks increases the chance to disarm opponents, which you would think would be a good thing. No, it's not, and for one very specific reason. When enemies are using melee weapons or are unarmed, they gain the ability to block incoming melee attacks, including the player's attacks. Because my only option is unarmed, it can result in a constant stun lock back and forth where I block, then they block, then I block, then they block, then one of us gets stunned and takes damage, rinse and repeat. Because of this, I tried to deal as much damage as possible at the start through sprinting and heavy attacks. When all else fails, going into VATS also helps. After this, it was time to take down the Institute for good. I think my game glitched a little because you're meant to get to the Institute by going through some pipe. But the game didn't block me from just fast traveling there, so I did just that and was instantly met with an army of synths that wanted my head. I absolutely destroyed these metal-headed bitches, and after teleporting the rest of the Minutemen in, we brought havoc to their little science lab. I killed coursers, beat the shit out of some gorillas, ran past some turrets, the whole shebang. I also completely betrayed Virgil by not getting the serum for him, but fuck him, who's he gonna complain to? I put the charge on the reactor and went to leave, then this weird kid wanted to join me. I put him in his place and told him how it was. He's a little robot man, he'll never replace my son. For some reason, Preston didn't like this, but dude, this is a personal thing, why is he judging? Then we went outside and I ended the Institute for good, destroying my robot son in the process. And with that, I beat Fallout 4 with only my fists. After listening to the War Never Changes speech again, I decided to do an epic jump off the top of the building and start fighting some super mutants. Thank you all so much for watching. If you liked it and want to see more, hit that like button and make sure to subscribe. Join the Discord server link down below to become a member of our little community over there, and a huge thanks to all of my members, and that about does it. Have a wonderful day.